of sounds something like this. Listen to the bass notes. The bass notes just keep going no matter what I play upon them. The first exercise, of course, is to use your thumb. Just play open strings, no chord yet. Play the E bass and then the A bass, okay, in a steady rhythm. Okay? And if that feels comfortable, then you can play Travis picking. Okay, it just takes a bit of more. I can't talk and play. I can talk and play, but I can't talk and play when I'm just playing open strings because it bothers my ear. Now, the second exercise is the same exercise, only this time you play the E bass and the D bass. Okay, it's a jumping Travis picking pattern. Okay? You'll see why when we get to the more advanced exercises. Okay? Now, these are your first two exercises. Now, if that sounds awful, then congratulations, you have a good ear, because open strings by themselves tend to sound, you know, it's not music yet. Now, there's a variation to these exercises. Take this part of your hand, put it by the bridge, and palm mute the strings. Okay? Now play these two exercises with palm muting. Okay? There's a reason for it. Okay? E, A, E, A, E, A, E, A, E, D, E, D, E, D, E, D. Okay? Now, once you get the steady rhythm going, and try to accentuate the second beat every time. Weak note, stronger note. Weaker note, stronger note. Okay? Try to accentuate. Try to feel the beat. Okay? Okay, now you can alternate. E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D. That's the next exercise. Now, palm muting gives you a different sound. For example, let's play what I played at the beginning. I improvised, so I'll improvise again, and this time I'll use palm muting. You see? It sounds different, it gives it a different feel. And if you play it on an electric guitar, it sounds awesome. Listen to Merle Travis himself. Search for Merle Travis and listen to him Travis pick. He palm mutes the bass notes sometimes, probably most of the time. He muted it and it sounded awesome. So that's another way of playing Travis picking. You can play the open bass notes, you can play them palm muted. Now, once you used to this, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, you're ready to move on to the more interesting exercises. Let's put on the E minor chord. Okay, E minor. Now, we're going to start playing Travis picking for real. The most important principle of Travis picking, the secret to all of Travis picking, is that Travis picking is binary. What do I mean by binary? I mean that you have either of two options. Either you play the note along with the bass note, or you play the note between bass notes. These are your only two options. Okay? All of Travis picking relies on this binary option, with the bass note or between bass notes. Okay? By the end of this video, you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's play the first option, okay? Let's play the bass, and then when we play the second bass note, when we play the A string on the second fret, we'll play the chord. We'll play strings 1, 2, and 3 together, okay? So it will sound like this. E, and then A with, it's a B note, but it's the A string, along with the rest of the chords. So, okay, and palm muted. Okay, that's the first option with the bass. Bass chord, bass chord, bass chord, bass chord. Of course, play it slowly if it's still not natural, if it doesn't feel natural yet. Okay, and try to keep it short. Try to mute the strings by putting your fingers back upon them. Okay? That's the next exercise. Now, I'm pretty sure you can guess the next exercise. The next exercise is playing the chord between the bass notes. Okay? Bass, chord, second bass, chord, bass, chord, second bass, chord. Okay? Now, of course, you can play these two exercises with the D string as well. So it's, okay, with the D string this time. The D string on 2, it's an E note, so you create an E octave on the bass notes. Okay, so. And then between them, between the bass notes. Now, I know that this doesn't sound very much like Travis picking, but it's still an exercise. We're still in the first phase of this video, so trust me on this. Now, you can play them with different bass notes. For example, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D. Okay, with palm mute. Now, the second exercise. E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D. Okay? Now, you're done with the very, very basic exercises. From now on, we're gonna gradually complicate it. Okay, so the next exercise will combine these two. What do I mean? I mean this. Okay? What did I just do? I played the first chord along with the bass note, and then I played the chords between the bass notes. You see, now it starts to sound like Travis picking. So, bass, second bass with a chord. Okay? Either the A string or the D string. It's your choice. Now, again, confused myself. Bass, bass with a chord. Bass, chord, bass, chord. So it's E, chord with A, E, chord, A, chord. Got it? Okay? Rhythm-wise, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. 2, 3, and 4, and 1. 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, it's kind of like only in Travis picking. So you can use the D bass. or you can alternate your bass notes. E, A, E, D, E, A, E, D. Okay, got it? So, ready for the next exercise? I'm pretty sure you're now realizing the potential of this, because we still haven't tackled single notes yet. This is what we're gonna do right now. So let's play this. Okay? Now it's basically the same exercise as before, only this time instead of chord, 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 we're playing chord, second string, third string. Okay? What do I mean by that? I mean that we're playing chord, second string, third string. Okay? The chord is along with the second bass note, and the open single strings, strings 2 and 3, are between bass notes. So it goes like this: bass, chord along with the bass, bass, second string, bass, third string. Again, bass, chord with bass, bass, second string, bass, third string. Okay? So and again, you can use whichever second bass note you want, either the A string or the D string, or alternate between them. It's your choice. Start improvising right now, because the sooner you start improvising with these exercises, the better you're gonna get and the more natural it will feel, and it will happen a lot quicker than by just playing the exercises in a dry, parrot-like way. Okay, so experiment with it. You want to go as well? Go. Go. Okay? Right now I think I just played E, D, E, A, E, D, E, A. Okay? Now let's play a single note picking pattern. Let's go for this. Okay? 1, 3, 2, 3. First string, third string, second string, third string. You wanna go? Go, go. Alright. So, let's play everything between notes, between bass notes. Okay, I'm playing the D bass right now. I prefer, everybody has their own preference. For example, Chet Atkins really loved playing the lower fifth. When you play, for example, if we take the E minor chord and we play the E and A strings, we're playing a fifth interval. Okay, we're playing the first note of the chord, the root of the chord, and then we're playing the fifth note of the chord, of the scale and of the chord. So we're playing 1 5 1 5. If we're playing the octave, we're playing 1 8, and 8 of course is 1, so it's an octave. Now Chet Atkins loved playing the fifth note. So for example, if he played a B minor chord, he'd play the lower F sharp note, for example. Okay? Now everybody has their own preference, and I prefer the octave. Don't know, I just like the way it sounds. Sometimes I do play the fifth note. Most of the time I do. I just add it as kind of a seasoning, like seasoning on food. I play the octave, and then I add the fifth note just for harmony every now and then. That's my style. You have to find your own style, and you have to experiment with different chords and see what you like. So for now, just alternate between them, or just pick one and stick with it, and just take the second one and play that. Just play this with D, and then play it with A, and then if you want, alternate between them. It's your choice. Again, experiment with the exercises. These exercises are merely suggestions. You can take them and play whatever you want. You can change the chord, you can play a barred chord. Okay? If you want, you can play strange chords. It's not a very strange chord, but it's not a minor or a major note. Or okay, you can experiment with it. We're gonna do it later. I'm gonna show you different ways you can play with the exercises. Okay, so I'm already coming up with more ideas, but let's stick with the basics first, okay? Sorry, I have ADHD. My mind tends to wander. It's a miracle that I'm concentrating at all. Okay, so we're talking about finger picking patterns. We've started. This is the first exercises that will enable and use patterns. So the first pattern we're going to use is first string, third string, second string, third strings. Okay, so it's 1, 3, 2, 3. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now let's go. Okay, so we said we're gonna play it between notes. Bass, first string. Second bass, third string. Bass, second string. Second bass, third string. So it's bass 1, bass 3, bass 2, bass 3. Okay? E 1, A 3, E 2, A 3. Okay? It's a lot more difficult to play it slowly than quickly. Why? Because fingerpicking patterns are a lot more confusing when you slow them down. It's kind of a paradox. So try to play it faster than this. Try to play it somewhere around this speed. When it makes sense. Okay? Because if you play it like this, it doesn't quite make sense rhythmically. But if you speed it up just a little, it starts to make sense. Okay? Remember to alternate the bass notes. Don't play the same bass note twice. So, between bass notes, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3. Okay? Now with palm muting, it sounds like this. And it starts to sound really complicated and awesome, and it sounds very professional, but the only thing you're doing is playing a very simple pattern, 1, 3, 2, 3, with bass notes right before every note, so it sounds very contrapuntal, which it isn't, of course, because there is no real counterpoint going on in the classical sense, because you only have 1 5 1 5 1 5 or 1 8 1 8 1 8, which is in reality 1 1 1 1, the same note, only in different octaves, in different pitches. So there is no real counter melody going on, so the only thing you're playing is this. Okay, but because of the bass notes, okay, if you speed it up a little, okay, it sounds as if you're playing something a lot more complicated. I was gonna say a lot more comfortable, a lot more complicated than it really is. So let's move on to the next exercise and see what we can do with kind of a mirror image of this picking pattern. Let's play the same thing, okay? The picking pattern will come between the bass notes, and this time we'll play strings 3, 2, 3, 1, okay? Okay, and let's see how that sounds. Got confused. Reverse the order. Okay? Bass 3, bass 2, bass 3, bass 1. Okay, that's the picking pattern. I'm pretty sure that you're starting to get the hang of it by now, so I'm allowing myself to go a bit faster and not break it down to this speed, even though this is what I'm doing right now. Okay, but let's leave the really slow speed out of it, because if you've gotten this far, then you're doing fine. Okay, so this is it for the very simple exercises. Okay, now let's try and play all of these exercises together, okay, in sequence. So we have this. Let's put on the E minor chord instead of open strings. Okay, now with the chord. Okay, now the chord between the notes. Now with the chord, with the bass, and then between the notes. Now the chord and the open string and the single strings. Now the first picking pattern. The second one. Okay? And that's kind of a final exam. Once you can do this, move on to... actually, no, you can move on, but once you can do this and play the exercises throughout without making mistakes, as I just did just at the end there, then you know that you've gotten the automatic thumb thing going. So that's kind of a challenge. Now let's move on to more interesting exercises. Now we're gonna create some licks, okay? We're gonna create some licks. So let's take the A minor chord. Okay, now our bass notes this time are the A string and the D string. Okay? Now if you want to go Chet Atkins style, you can also play A and lower E. But when you play the D string on 2, that's an E note as well, so you're either playing 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, or 1 lower 5. Okay, and then it sounds like this. Okay, now I'm not really used to that because that's not my style, but you can use it as an exercise and just add it to your arsenal of thumb picking patterns. And you can try the exercises I'm going to give you with the lower E string if you want, but that's just not my style, so I'm probably going to make a fool of myself if I try to play it, because my thumb is not used to that. Now, so you see, it's all a matter of practice. Now, let's play this. This is our first lick. Now, our first lick goes like this. You pull off from 1 to 0 on the B string, and then you play the third string on 2, and then you play the open E string. Okay, so it's... Where do you add the bass notes? the first bass note is along with the pull-off. The second bass note is along with the third string. And then you play the open E string, and then you play the remaining two bass notes of the bar. So, okay, pull off with the bass, third string with the bass, open E string between bass notes. Okay? There's actually a simpler version of this. I probably should have thought of it before, but it doesn't matter. If you're watching the video throughout, you can reverse the order of the exercises, and you play this. Okay, just without playing the third string. That's the actually, I don't really like it. Let's just stick with the previous version. It's a more complete lick. Okay? So, you can play it, I think you can play it twice inside a bar. Yeah, you can. That's your next exercise if you want. Okay? Just play it twice in sequence. Now, the challenge here is to play the pull-off right after the open E string. Okay, because the pull-off comes along with the A bass, which is the beat, and it comes right after the open E string, which is between bass notes. So now you can also variate and play this. Okay, and leave the E string out of it the second time, and then you create kind of a question and answer lick. And you can mute the strings right afterwards, and then you create syncopation. Okay? As I said, experiment with this, create your own version of these exercises. Okay, so next exercise. Let's see if I can read this. I never said I'm gonna make it easy on you. I said we're finished with the basic easy exercises. Now we're gonna play licks. Now, this lick goes like this. Slowly, it sounds like this. Bass, chord along with pull-off. So I'm playing the second, third, and fourth strings all together. The fourth string, of course, is our second bass note. So we're playing it with the thumb. Okay, the thumb must keep going. So, okay, and then I pull off from 1 to 0 on the B string. Okay, and the pull-off is the note that comes between the bass notes. Okay? And then I play the A bass again. Then I play just a picking pattern. I play strings 2 and 3. So it's bass, second string, back on 1, put your finger back on, second bass, which is the D string in the A minor example. We're playing the D string, and then we play the third string. So it's bass, 2, bass, 3. Okay, bass, first bass, second string, second bass, third string. Okay, so it's this. Okay? And when you speed it up, you don't have to speed it up. It sounds cool as it is, but I'm reversing this. which you can do. You can reverse it yourself and play strings 3 and then 2. Okay, that's another option. You can play strings 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, or 2 and 1, or 3 and 1, okay, or all together. You can improvise and play whichever open strings come to mind and whatever your fingers want to play. So you have this lick and this half lick, and then the second half of the lick is up to you. You can even play strings together. You can play the rest of the chord. But the basic lick, the basic exercise I wrote here is this. Half lick, let's call it pull off, chord pull off, chord pull off, second string, third string. Why the buzz? Okay, I picked it too loud. Next exercise, okay? The next exercise is this. Okay, this is a tricky lick, okay? I'm kind of a bastard for giving you this exercise if you're a real beginner with Travis picking. This isn't a very easy lick. It's kind of it's a tricky one. So if you find this difficult, then I apologize. I just came up with exercises and I wrote them down. But this is not quite the beginner lick, because it's not strictly on the 1-2-1-2 rhythm, because you have a double hammer on, and it's kind of I don't know. It's not simply on the beat. So if you find this difficult, you can leave this exercise for later, or you can challenge yourself and just, take your guitar and say, yeah, I'm gonna play this, and play this, because it's not a very difficult lick. It's just a bit tricky, rhythmically. So, bass note along with a hammer on from 0 to 1 on the B string. Okay? Okay, so you play the bass note along with it. And then you hammer on again from 0 to 1 on the B string between the bass notes. Okay, and then you play the second bass note. So you have to time it right. Now, what you can do if you find this difficult is this. You can play the bass notes, okay, and just add the hammer-ons at the beginning of the bar, okay? Until you get it right, okay? Now, you can slow it down, of course. I'm just demonstrating, so you'd better play it a bit slower than that. Once you can hear the rhythm in your head, and you can add the hammer-ons where they should be, you can play the rest of this lick, which is very, very simple. It's just strings 1, 2, and 1 between the bass notes. That's it. Hammer on, bass. First string, bass. Second string, bass. First string. Okay? 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. It's confusing to talk and play, so let's just play. Listen to this. Once you get this done under your fingers, you can pat yourself on the back and congratulate yourself because this is a tricky lick, okay? And you're on your way to play Travis picking very freely, very naturally, very fluently. The next exercise is this. Now, in this picking pattern, I employ double stops. Now, double stops is where you pick two notes at the same time. So you begin by this. Okay, do you recognize this? We played this before in this lick. It's the same. It's basically the same pattern, but this time there's a small change to it because the third string comes between the bass notes. So it's a quicker lick. Instead of, you've got, okay? So you pull off from 1 to 0 on the B string, along with the bass note, of course, and then you play the third string, and then you play the second bass note. So it sounds like this. Okay? Now, the second half of this lick is this. Okay, now this didn't make any sense when played this way, but if we take them and tape them together, it sounds like this. Okay, now you play this, then you're here at the bass. You put your you put your first finger back on the second string on 1, on the first fret, and play strings 2 and 3 together, so it sounds like this. Got it? And then the rest of the lick is very easy. You just play the bass, the A bass, and then play the second bass note, E, 2 on the D string, along with the second and third strings. So you've played them separately before, and now you're gonna play them together. Okay, so it's, okay? Now just remember, you don't play them with your fingers. Okay, it's Travis picking, so you play them with the thumb and 2 fingers, because the thumb is playing the bass notes. The thumb is separate from the rest of the fingers. It's still playing its own part. Okay, you're not playing a chord here. Okay, conceptually, you're not playing a chord. You're playing the second bass note of the chord along with another part of the chord. Okay, that's how you need to think, because if you're thinking of this as playing the chord, okay, you're thinking about it wrong, because the thumb is still a part of this. Okay, so that's what you need to internalize instead of just thinking of bass chord. This is not bass chord, it's bass, second bass along with the second and third strings. Okay, it's very different because your playing reflects the way you hear it and the way you think about it. Okay, it comes out in your playing. So think about it right and you'll be able to play it right. So the full lick. Okay, pull off, string, bass, second and third strings, bass, second bass with the third and second strings. Okay, so slowly. Okay, with palm muting. Okay, so you see, It sounds different with palm muting, it sounds different in different speeds. That's the magic of Travis picking. It's very, very versatile. It's very, very simple. It's just 1 2 1 2 1 2 and binary. It's either the bass notes come along with the rest of the notes or the rest of the notes come between the bass notes. That's it. And look at what you can achieve with just these 4 options. 4 options, I mean open bass strings, palm muted bass notes with the bass note between the bass notes. These are your only 4 options. Next exercise. This time we're gonna hammer on a bass note. So we're still in A minor and let's play this. Okay? You play the bass note, you play strings 2 and 3, and then you play the second bass note and you hammer on. What's that noise? Somebody's riding a very heavy bike outside. And you hammer on from 0 to 2 on the D string on your second bass note. Okay, so you're hammering on the 5. Okay, so again, you play the second and third strings after that bass note as well. Okay? Now, you can also do this. And add the chord along with the open D string right before the hammer on and get a variation. And play the chord again, or not. I'm playing the bass note, I exaggerate the bass note on purpose so you can hear it, you know, outside of the... Okay, so... either between the notes or with the notes. Or with the notes and between the notes. Now let's change a chord. Let's take G, for example. Now let's play with the chord. Okay, with where we put the chord inside the bar. That's our next picking pattern. That's our next exercise. So, I'm playing strings E and D. Now, inside the G chord, D is the 5th note of the G chord. So, if you play G like this, then this is a D note. So, this time I am playing the 5th interval, only this time it's on D. So, okay, now if you play the A string on 2, you get the B note, and that's the 3rd of the chord. So you can play 1 3 1 3. Okay, that's a very different harmony. So again, it's your choice. I like to play the G and D strings. It gives, I don't know, it gives it more space. If you play this, kind of sounds more spaced than this. Because this sounds a bit more classical. Instead of just playing it in a country feel, which is the origin of Travis picking. So it's just the chord between the bass notes, and then right away you play another chord, and then you play another chord between the bass notes, and then you play the bass note alone, and then you play another chord between the bass notes. So it's just this. You play the bass, then you play the second bass with the chord, then you play the first bass with another chord, and then right away a chord between that chord and the next bass note. So it sounds like this. And then the second bass, and then another chord between the bass notes. So it's bass, chord, 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 bass, chord. Okay? Slower. Bass, chord, no bass. Bass, chord, 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 bass, chord. Okay? And bass wise it goes bass, 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 bass. Okay? So it's really slowly. Bass, chord with bass, chord, bass, chord with bass, chord with bass, chord without bass, bass, chord without bass. Okay? Again, very confusing to explain, very simple to play. Let me just call out the bass notes. Bass, 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 bass. Okay, so slowly. Got it? That's the lick. Palm muting. Okay? Now the next lick is a very peculiar Travis picking lick, because when you get to a D chord, we're gonna play a D chord. Okay? When you get to a D chord, what do you do with the bass notes? Because you're playing the first, second, and third strings with your fingers. So what do you do with the thumb? Now, the obvious answer is to play the lower bass note, to play D and A. Okay, purely country, very Chet Atkins style. Or you can go outside the box and play the second bass note. You can play the G string with your thumb. So when you have to play a lick and you play the D note with it, you'll use your finger. But when you play the second bass note, you'll use your thumb. So when you play a D chord, it becomes a bit more complicated. So let's leave that for the more advanced exercise videos. But we're gonna play the chord like this. Okay? We're gonna play the thumb all the way on D and G, the D strings. Okay, we're gonna play the thumb all the way. We're gonna play the D and G strings using our thumb. So we play the D bass, then we slide the whole chord from 1, 2, and 1 to 2, 3, and 2. Okay, and we play the first and second strings with their designated fingers, and we play the G string with the thumb. Okay, and the reason for that is that if we play it with, there are two reasons. The first reason, which are actually the same reason, but bear with me for a second. If we play them with these three fingers, then it's not Travis picking, because we've just played the second bass note with a finger instead of the thumb. Okay? So technically, you're not Travis picking. And the second reason is when you use the thumb, you get a different dynamic on that string than when you play with the finger. Okay? The thumb and the finger get different sounds out of the string. They get a different dynamic. So it doesn't sound like Travis picking. So it's two reasons, which are actually one reason, which is if you're not playing the G string with your thumb in this lick, then you're not Travis picking it. You can play it with the fingers, okay? But then it's not Travis picking. If you want to play it in Travis picking, use your thumb. Okay, and the G string gets a slightly stronger attack than if you would have played it with your finger. Now you can variate and play the A string as your second bass note, and then you would play the G string with your fingers. So let's play that. Okay, D bass, A bass with the slide, and you need the G string as well, so play it with your finger. Okay, strings 1, 2, and 3, and then D bass, and then A bass with strings 1, 2, and 3 again. Okay, so that's a variation. Practice both. Okay, with palm mute. Ah, I'm not used to picking the lower bass note, I told you. Okay, you see you get a different dynamic. Now let's play the first variation, the higher second bass note, G string with the thumb, okay? And let's palm mute those. You see, you get a different dynamic. Okay, so you have two exercises. We're almost done. We have two more exercises left. The first is this. We're back to A minor, and we play this. Okay, I wanted to teach you a lick where you have to add a finger and do a small solo over a chord. Okay, take your pinky and not yet, but you will take your pinky and add it on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So you play the A bass and then the 2nd bass note, which is the D string, along with the 2nd and 3rd strings. Okay, you play the chord, and then you play 3 on the B string with your pinky with the A bass. And then you take it off and play 1 on the B string, 1 on the 2nd string, inside the A minor chord, of course. And then you play you played it alone, so it means that it's between bass notes. So then you play the 2nd bass note, and then you play the E string. Okay, so again. Pinky. Okay, so. So it's bass, chord with bass, D note with the bass, then between bass notes, 2nd string, 1st string. Got it? You can change. That's a variation. You see, I let my fingers play what they wanted to play, and they improvised. Instead of playing the open E string, they played the 3rd string on 2 inside the A minor chord, and you have a variation. Again, you can play along with it and improvise and just create your own exercises derived from my exercises. The final exercise for this video will be this. Let's play a C chord, and we're playing this. give you a difficult exercise, right? No, I'm not. Because I'm gonna show you what we can do with this. And the difference between this exercise and all of the rest of the exercises is that this is a 2-bar exercise instead of a 1-bar exercise. You actually have 2 licks here. So you play the C chord. Your bass notes, of course, are the A and D strings. So you play the bass note, then you play the second bass note and you hammer on from 0 to 1 on the B string, and then you play the open E string between bass notes, so you play the second bass note after that. So that's the first lick. Okay, bass, hammer on with bass, bass, E string, bass. Now the next one is playing strings 2 and 1, then 2 and 1 again with the bass notes. Second string with the first bass, first string with the second bass twice. Okay? Now, once you're comfortable with this, I want you to start moving the chord around. What do I mean by that? Do whatever sounds good to you. Just find a place where the C chord can create a lick on its own. For example, if you take it up 3 frets, then it sounds like this. Okay? If you take it 1 fret up, if you take it 3 frets up and then 1 fret up, meaning 2 frets back down, then it sounds like this. Okay, you see, I want you to create your own fingerstyle lick. Okay, using this chord only. Okay, that's the challenge. Create a lick that sounds good. For example, if we take it 3 frets up, let's try taking it 2 frets more. Okay, that sounds nice. Let's try 1 more fret. 1 more fret. Okay, you see? You get a lot more choices. Okay, so you have, and I want you to keep doing this. And before you move it around, so you do this. Okay, every time you play the first bass note in the second half of the lick, in the second bar of the lick, you can move it around. I want you to create your own fingerstyle lick and see just how easy it is when you just use a picking pattern and move a chord around. Okay? Because that's used a lot. That's another finger picking, Travis picking secret.